10 ways you can avoid running into debt during wedding. My name is Miriam Utwe and you're welcome to my channel. If today is your first time of joining us, you are welcome. Today we're going to be looking at 10 ways you can avoid running into debt. Most people, they've done their wedding and ended up running into debt after the whole wedding. What we are going to be looking at today is to help you avoid running into debt during wedding planning, help you have a smooth wedding during planning. Number one thing we might want to look at is that you determine the weight of your pockets. Get a budget. Like whatever thing you're doing in life, whether wedding or not, you're supposed to sit down and plan before you go ahead with whatever thing that concerns any budget or any projects you're supposed to carry out. So the same thing applies to wedding planning. Before you start planning for a wedding, you need to define the kind of wedding that you're supposed to have. Define your kind of wedding and then determine how much you have. Instead of fantasizing or looking at a certain wedding that is not supposed to be, or instead of looking at a social media kind of wedding and then you think that's what you're supposed to do or what you're supposed to get. No, everyone has their own type of wedding they're supposed to carry out. Everyone has their own kind of wedding they're supposed to do. They can never be the same. Your wedding can never be the same as mine. Your wedding can never be the same as mine, and mine can never be the same as yours. What you need to do is to sit down and determine the weight of your pocket before you can determine the kind of wedding you are supposed to have. Check it. Number two thing you might want to do is to check in with a planner. Check in with a planner. Have a rundown list of what you might be needing for your wedding. When you have a checklist, you have a budget sheet of what you need for your wedding. As a planner, we usually have this. We have vendors list that we work with, and we always work according to your budget. You make a planner your friend. Check in with one if you don't already have, and then have a rundown of what you'll be needing for your wedding. It will make everything easier for you, from catering services, from drinks, from decoration to cakes, everything you might be needing. You just to check in and have an overview of what you might be needing for your wedding. You get it? So number three thing we might want to look at is that you choose a duration to plan your wedding. Do not rush into planning. Do not rush into wedding. Do not rush into buying things or buying stuff that you might not be needing. So what you might want to do is to choose a duration to plan your wedding. A 1 year duration, 2 years, or 6 months minimum, I advise. But if you have enough money, you want to go ahead for 3 months or for 2 months, it's okay. But you can start planning your wedding from 2 years and a year. Is not too long to plan for a wedding, so it will enable you to sit down and plan everything accordingly without rushing into buying things, without rushing into doing any stuff, or without rushing in and rushing out or getting stuck because of finances. So if you're getting along, stay tuned, we have more coming in. Number 4 thing you might want to do when planning for a wedding to avoid running into debt is to avoid borrowing. Borrowing causes delay in your future plan. Check your account and get the amount you might want to use for your wedding. That is why it is very necessary for you to avoid rushing into planning. I always say wedding or marriage is something you're going to spend the rest of your life, and so you might not, I'm sure you don't want to rush into planning, into going ahead with wedding and all of that. You need to take your time to do whatever thing you need to do, and do not rush to avoid borrowing. Take your time, get a list from your planner and work towards each and everything that you need for your wedding. Yes, it's very simple. Get a checklist from your planner or get a budget sheet from your planner. I know things change, but it will not be the difference will not be much when you sit down to plan for your wedding on time, instead of rushing things and then end up borrowing and running into debt. Number 5 thing you might want to look at is don't hope on anybody. This is very important. If I need to drag somebody's ear to put this into it, I will definitely do that, but you're not here with me, so I will skip that scene. I see you. Don't hope on anybody. We've seen a situation where an uncle promises to buy drinks for wedding, and they were like, okay, my uncle will buy drinks, so there's no need for the drinks, there's no need to budget for drinks. my uncle will pay for the cake, or my auntie will pay for the cake. There's no need to buy cake or to budget for cake. Do not hope on anybody. Somebody is promising you ₦1,000,000, you've not seen it at hand. Do not plan with that person. Plan according to what we have on ground, according to what you have in your pocket. Work with it. So whenever they bring their ₦1,000,000, you can easily leave it in your account, or you hold it as an extra cash for your later expenses. I repeat, do not hope on anybody. When you hope on someone, they might disappoint you. Sorry to say, I know it's not everyone, but most times it's not always good to hope on anybody. People promise to support with drinks, food items, or finances, but never depend on them. It's good that they promised you, but I advise you, never depend on them. Number 6 thing you might want to know: as a young adult, you already know you will get married someday. Yes, you already know that someday you're going to find this beautiful chick, or you're going to find this beautiful man, this tall, handsome, hot chocolate, nice man. You're going to find this person one day as a young adult, but then you're not still prepared, since you know you're already going to get married. I always advise you create a separate account and start saving early enough. It will save you from borrowing money and running into debt for your wedding. Yes, do you get it? So never borrow money. It's not the right thing to do. Start planning on time. Have a separate account. It's very, very, very important. Besides planning for wedding, it's always good as a young person growing up to have a savings account that you can use for your family, for your children, or for anything you need to do in future. I always say, if you are receiving 100% of your salary, you should always act as if you are receiving 80% and use the remaining 20%. Save it up for future use. Yeah, you get it. So the next number we're going to be looking at is number 7. Avoid pride during wedding planning. Avoid pride and plan according to your resources. Let people accept you the way you are. You can't please everybody during wedding. I want to do this one just so my friends can be happy, or they can know that I have. No, wedding planning is not to please anyone. You are getting married. It's supposed to be enjoyed, and it's something you need to do for yourself and not for people. If you are inviting them, whatever you give them is what they are supposed to eat, not the other way around. You are trying to please everybody. It's never possible. So avoid pride and plan according to your resources. Number 8, lower your expectation standard and be considerate. Like, you have expectations so high without putting the your partner into consideration. Like, I've seen a situation where you wanted this Cinderella kind of wedding, and then you end up having this you know the kind of wedding you now have later on. So lower your expectations and lower your standards, so you'll be able to work according to your resources and avoid running into debt. Number 9 thing: look out for less expensive average items when making choices. Don't always look at higher things. Always look out for less expensive and average items when making choices. Number 10, the last but not the least: care less about people. Focus on what gives you peace, and stop acting like, oh, what will this person think when I'm doing this? What will they think when I'm here? Or what will they think when I use this place? No, do what gives you peace. Do what makes you happy. Yes, we have come to the end of this
episode.
Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay blessed, stay victorious. See you next time.